Welcome back to the today's class on advanced switchgear. Today we are going to see about resistance switching derivation and interaction between circuit breaker and circuit. Resistance switching. Consider restriking voltage when breaker has resistance R has a value less than infinity. From the previous lectures, we have seen resistance switching is used for consider the resistance R has a value less than infinity which is connected to a circuit breaker to decrease the restriking voltage of a breaker. If circuit breaker resistance approximates to infinity, restriking voltage transient oscillations are controlled by natural frequency Fn. We know that if a resistance is inserted in a circuit breaker, then it will control the transient oscillations. Since the circuit breaker resistance is approximated to infinity for derivation, so it will help in controlling the natural frequency of oscillation and it will decrease the transient oscillations. In order to safeguard from excessive voltage and current chopping, resistance switching is used. Figure 1 represents the schematic arrangement when the moving contact is withdrawn from the fixed nozzle and arc is struck between the fixed contacts and fixed nozzle. In this figure, you can see a generator is feeding a long transmission line through a bus bar, and this long transmission line and the bus bar has a inductance and a capacitance which are lumped in the circuit in here. After that, you are seeing a moving contact and two fixed contacts and another arcing contact. Here, these two fixed contacts will provide the main contacts where the current will be flowing through them, and the moving contact is moved in or moved out to open the circuit or close the circuit. If we insert the moving contacts into the fixed contacts, then the circuit breaker will be closed and the current will flow through the circuit breaker. If we remove the moving contact downwards at once, the current will be broken and the arc will struck between the moving contact and also to the fixed contact. In this circuit breaker, an extra arrangement of another fixed contact is placed in the upper portion where this fixed contact is connected with the shunt resistance Rp which we have seen earlier, and this resistance helps us in resistance switching where it will minimize the current chopping effect and the restriking voltage and also decreases the rate of rise of restriking voltage. You can see the arc is striking between the fixed contact and the main contact. Here, this arc current is minimized by the resistance. Figure 2 represent the equivalent circuit, the main gap and the resistance R along with an alternate gap in parallel with capacitor. You can see in the second figure, this is the equivalent circuit of the schematic arrangement of moving contact. In the equivalent circuit, you see a main generator which is generating the power and it is delivering to the long transmission line through the bus bar and the transformer setup. You can see the capacitance C and the inductance L of the complete system is lumped together in the circuit over here L and capacitance as C, and we are having two gaps. One is the main gap and the other is the alternate gap. Here this main gap is the gap provided between the fixed contact and the moving contact, and here the alternate gap, this one represented in the equivalent circuit, can be visible in here. This gap represented with the fixed contact and with the shunt resistance contact. So this contact gap is connected with the shunt resistance which will be used in resistance switching. Initially, let capacitor C to be charged to a potential of voltage V by the restriking voltage, and it is being discharged through the resistor R and inductor L. Initially, the generator generates the current, and this current will be flowing through the inductor L and into the capacitance C. So, the capacitance C will be charged due to the restriking voltage which is fed from the main generator. So, after this charging cycle, the discharge cycle will be through the resistance R and through the inductor L. So, for derivation part, we can see the total current which is generated by the alternator I will be equal to minus C dV by dt, which is the total charging current plus the inductor current. So, we can say the current present in the inductor will be di by dt. So, the voltage will be equal to V is equal to L di1 by dt, which tends to I1 is equal to integration of V by L dt. Similarly, in the resistance side, we can see the voltage will be equal to I2 into R, and the current in the resistance will be I2 is equal to V by R. So, by using Kirchhoff's law, we can say the total current produced by the generator I will be equal to I1 plus I2. Here the I1 is the current flowing through the inductor and I2 is the current flowing through the resistor. Substituting the equations 1, 2 and 3 in equation 4. So we are substituting these three equations in equation 4. We get minus C dV by dt equal to integral of V by L dt plus V by R. So we can divide the complete equation 5 with capacitance C. So we will be getting minus dV by dt equal to 1 by C integration of V by L dt plus V by RC. So this is the equation which will be get after dividing the equation 5 with capacitance C. Now we are taking the capacitance that is the constant out from the integral part. So minus dV by dt equal to 1 by LC integration of V dt plus V by RC. Now we are changing the signs. We are making all the equations to come in the left hand side and equating it to 0 and making a equation 6. So we will be getting dv by dt plus 1 by LC integration of v dt plus v by RC equal to 0. Now we are going to differentiate the equation 6. While differentiating, we get d square v by dt square plus v divided by LC plus 1 by RC dv by dt, because differentiating of an integration give rise to v, and here the v is the differentiable, so we are getting dv by dt and 1 by RC is a constant, so we are leaving this, and the complete equation is equated to 0, and this is given as equation number 7. Now let m is equal to dv by dt. So we are going to substitute m for dv by dt. Before that, we are going to make two steps. First, we are taking v as common from the equation 7. So we are getting v, substituting m instead of dv by dt gives m square plus m divided by RC plus 1 by LC equal to 0. Then the auxiliary equation we have get is m square plus m by RC plus 1 by LC equal to 0. So from the found auxiliary equation for resistance switching, we can describe that the roots of the equation will be of the form x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, which is the standard form for finding the roots of a differential equation. So we are getting m is equal to minus 1 by RC plus or minus square root of 1 by r square c square minus 4 by LC divided by 2. Since we are taking the roots from the auxiliary equation, we will be having two roots. So for simplifying purpose, we are making this equation to be simplified into m is equal to minus 1 by 2RC plus or minus square root of 1 by 4C square R square minus 1 by LC. Generally, the term 1 by LC will be greater than the term 1 by 4C square R square. So the roots of the equation, first root m1 will be equal to minus 1 by 2RC plus j square root of 1 by LC minus 1 by 4C square R square. This root is of the form z is equal to x plus jy, where y is the imaginary part. So this part is the imaginary part and this part is the real part for the root m1. Then we are getting the another root m2 is equal to minus 1 by 2RC minus j square root of 1 by LC minus 1 by 4C square R square. So this is the second root of the auxiliary equation. So this root is of the form m2 is equal to minus a minus j into b. Here jb is the complex part. So we will be having the form Z is equal to x plus jy, where y is the imaginary part. So we can get the two roots of the equation m1 and m2, and further classifying these two roots we can get the real part as a and the imaginary part as b. So the real part a will be equated into 1 by 2 rc and the imaginary part b will be equated into square root of 1 by lc minus 1 by 4c square r square. From the above equation, it is clear that the equation of oscillatory and the natural frequency Fn is given by 2 pi Fn equal to b. So this imaginary part gives the natural frequency oscillation. So the imaginary part is equated to the omega, which is 2 pi Fn equal to b. So we can derive into the natural frequency Fn is equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of 1 by Lc minus 1 by 4 c squared r squared, and this equation 8 gives the resistance switching equation for oscillatory and natural frequency. Since we know inductance L and capacitance C are shunted by resistance R of value other than infinity, the natural frequency Fn of oscillation is given by the equation 8. Since we know the capacitance C, inductance L and the shunt resistance R, which can be substituted in the equation to get the natural frequency Fn, that is the frequency in which the complete circuit is going to oscillate. When inductance L and capacitance C are shunted by our shunt resistance, which is in ohms, so the shunt resistance which is connected in the circuit breaker will be in of ohms. If the resistance R is less than 1 by 2 into root of L by C, the expression under the root becomes negative. So oscillatory nature of transient voltage vanishes. So if the resistance R which is expressed or which is derived is less than the 1 by 2 root of Lc, then the transient voltage vanished immediately. If the resistance R is greater than 1 by 2 root of Lc, then the oscillations of natural frequency get damped and restriking voltage rapidly settles to a normal value. So the resistance which is inserted across the circuit breaker helps us to decide the transient voltage and the restriking voltage, and also helps in deciding the damping effect in the circuit breaker. Restriking voltage does not reach same maximum value after current 0 as in previous case. In order to avoid severe voltage oscillations occurring because of breaking large capacitive current, resistance switching is employed. In practical, all circuit breakers which are employed or used in power system have resistance switching as a predominant one. So by using or by calculating the current resistance, we can avoid the oscillation and the transient frequency, the rate of rise of recovery voltage and the restriking voltage and the circuit breaker rupturing capacity. Everything can be minimized and the circuit breaker can make its duty as a very good one and increases the stability of the power system. So resistance switching is a very mandatory one for power systems. The circuit breaker performance can be seen from interaction between the breaker and the circuit. It is convenient to consider the short circuit current I in the period around current 0 composed of two parts. So, if a short circuit occurs at this time, the total current generated by the generator has comprises of two parts. One is the R current IA and the other is transient current IC. We know the R current, which is directly proportional to the short circuit current, and the transient current IC flows in the capacitive parts of the circuit, which determines the restriking voltage. So this transient current determines the restriking voltage, and this transient current flows in the capacitive part of the circuit. So, voltage EA across the circuit breaker is related to IA by dynamic characteristics of arc and also by IC, which is the transient current, which is inherent transient response of the external circuit. So, the voltage which is present across the circuit breaker depends upon the R current IA and also depends upon the transient current IC. At any instant before or after the current 0, the total current generated by the generator I will be equal to the R current IA plus the transient current IC. So, when a short circuit fault has occurred at that instant, the current which is generated by the generator will be spent on two components. One is R current component and other one is the transient current component. Now the figure shows a schematic form of how current across capacitance C aids interaction by lowering current immediately before current 0. First we can see these three figures. First you can see the generator is supplying the total current I, which comprises of R current and the inductance current IL. So the total current I will be equal to IL equal to IA. In the second figure you can see the charging current, which is the capacitive current, which is coming out from the capacitance and get added through to IA. So the total current I will be equal to IC plus IA. Similarly, in the third figure you can see the current IC is delivering to the generator. This means the short circuit, the fault which occurred, has been cleared by the circuit breaker. So the capacitive current starts to charge and gives the current to the generator. So in the above figure you can see all the parameters: total current I, R current IA, the capacitor current IC, and the voltage across circuit breaker EA, and these three positions A, B and C. At these positions arc in the circuit breaker is formed and the arc is being extinguished at these three positions A, B and C. After C position you can see the normal recovery voltage or the system voltage starts to occur at this position. After the C position, we will see about this figure in more detail. If E is the supply voltage in circuit, then equation of circuit can be written as E is equal to L di by dt plus EA. Here E is the total amount of voltage generated by the alternator. Here L di by dt is the voltage across the inductor plus EA is the arc voltage which appears across the circuit breaker contact. Consider EA begins to rise causes diversion of current in shunt capacitance C, which is equal to IC equal to C dEA divided by dt. You can see in this figure EA begins to rise at this instant. This current IC, which is positive and equals to IA equal to I minus IC. You can see the arc current IA, which will be equal to the current which is generated by the generator plus the current present in the transient response IC. It is obtained at the expense of arc current, which therefore starts to fall rapidly than I. You can see that the arc current IA starts to fall rapidly than the total current generated I. At instant of point A approaches, the rate of fall of IA diminishes. You can see at this point A, the rate of fall of IA starts to decrease. So, dEA divided by dt will be equal to 0 and IC equal to 0 and IA equal to I. At this point A, you can see IC is equal to 0 and IA equal to I, because the dEA by dt will be equal to 0 and this rate of fall of IA starts to diminish. Immediately after capacitance C starts discharging, giving a negative IC. So after this point you can see the capacitor starts discharging, so the IC becomes negative. So I and IA are still positive. At this point you can see that IC has become negative, but I and IA are still positive. Current in arc is supplied from source and capacitance. Obviously during this period A, IA is greater than I. So at this point A, you can see these two currents are equal, but as in practical cases, at this point A period, the current in the arc will be greater than the current which is generated, because this is due to the short circuit fault which has occurred in the transmission line or in the power system. At instant B, when I reaches 0, the arc is supplied only by the capacitance C, which will be equal to IA equal to IC. So at this point B, you can see the arc current will be equal to the transient current. IA and IC are equal. After this instant, the current I get reverses and the difference constitutes IA. So after this point, the total current I gets reverses and goes in the negative direction. So the difference constitute to be the arc current IA. Current I rises in negative direction at a faster rate. So after this position point B, you can see the current generated by the alternator I get reverses and starts to rise in a faster rate. Until instant C, I is equal to IC. You can see from the point B to point C, the current in the transient response and the current which is produced by the alternator are both equal, and the arc current IA is 0 at this point C. The interaction between arc and circuit can be calculated at current 0. So the calculations can be made at current 0 using the current flowing in the alternator, arc current, and the transient current IC. If the time constant tau and rate of power dissipation of arc as well as initial conditions of the interaction intervals are known, the circuit breaker constants can be clearly defined, and the interaction between the breaker and the circuit plays a vital role. By finding all these characteristics and the currents which are flowing in the circuit and the circuit breaker, the total power system can be modeled very easily. Thank you.